Hello again, day 2 on the Radiator box. So this is the base. It's been sitting under the weights all night long and it is ready to work with. Whoa. Yeah. And it is very flat at the moment. It doesn't wobble too much. Still feels cold and somewhat damp on this surface, which received a lot of glue. So I'm going to set this aside. So what we're going to do first, is attach the little felt bits around the edges. And this is really fiddly work of trimming the excess felt and then gluing these on and adjusting them and positioning them, and so it's going to take a while. So I'm just going to put you on fast forward, and yeah, it's nothing special here. Okay. Okay, after a short break and a little more pressing on the base, because just in the time that I was doing that, 45 minutes an hour that it took me to put those felt on, it had begun to warp. So now we are moving on to the walls. And I like this part of the construction because it actually starts to feel like a box and not just a flat disc. Okay, so here we are. We've got our felt on there, and it is slightly warped, and this is natural. And a real easy way to tell, I mean, you can look at it and eyeball it, and you can sometimes see the warp if it's big enough, but when it's real slight like this, it's hard to actually see the warp visually. But if you lay it on a flat surface and press along the edges, you can see exactly how it is warping. Okay. So, that doesn't matter too much at the moment. If it was really bad, I would press it flat before beginning working on the walls. Now, the walls, we've got as before, 3 layers of walls. And the interior layer is, as I said before when I was talking about cutting these, has the strong sides and the weak top and bottom. Okay. Now, since I'm going to be felting the interior of this, it doesn't really matter too much because this edge, the interior edge of this lip, is actually going to be carved and not cardboard. So we go around 1 layer at a time, and we do 1 complete layer of walls, and then put on a 2nd layer of walls, and then a 3rd layer of walls. And this is the edge where the walls are going to attach to the base. It will be further supported by when we get two pieces of wall together, there will be glue on this edge as well. Okay? But primarily the attachment, especially in this first layer, is going to be right here at the base. So you have to get that really, really good, really nice and secure. And we want to make it straight. Okay? Hence my little right angle here. So we glue it and we make it straight and we let it set for a little while and then we put on more. So I'll put this first one on. We begin with our pot of glue here. Glasses off. We add a lot of glue to this edge. Really get it on there nice and thick. And an edge like this, it's really going to absorb most of this glue right into the cardboard. Alright, very quickly. Okay, now we wipe off the excess. Okay. And now, as before, I'm going to put a little bit down here so that both surfaces connecting have a little bit of glue on them. This here is going to be very, very thin. Now, before I actually attach this, and in order to get it so that it is truly straight and vertical at a right angle there, I've got to put weight on here because it is slightly warped. So I put just a couple of weights on here, and that makes sure that this edge that I'm gluing to is perfectly flat and is making contact with the surface underneath, so that when I put this in, it then achieves a dependable height. When I do the next one, it will be the exact same height. Let this dry just a wee bit more. Okay, that's good enough. And we just make sure that it lines up with that side, and it is. It's just the right width. Just knead it in. Press it tight. Always have to press down as well to make sure that it actually sits on the table. Okay. And then we check for plumb, and there we go. Now I'm just going to let this sit and set, the glue set and grab hold for a little while, and then we'll put on the second piece. Okay, this is set for about 10 minutes. Should be okay, good enough. So, the next piece of wall, we will be putting right over here. And we've got to sort of move this into there so that these two make good contact along this edge where the glue is going to be. And on the inside it looks like this. Okay. Let's see. And when these are both straight, they make contact at the edge. Okay, so this time I'm going to be doing a little bit more gluing. First we put our glue down on the edge of the base here. Lock the glue on there. It's too much. Now here, the piece is going in this way, so we want to glue this edge and put our little light glue down on the bottom. So we'll start with the edge. And it really is just a matter of making a bead of glue here and cleaning up after yourself. Yeah. Okay, and wipe off the excess. And then a little bit of light glue on the bottom. You might notice that I blow a lot of smoke on things. And, it's not just because I'm a smoker and I'm smoking while I'm working, but this is an herbal mixture that I use to cleanse and to bless what I'm working on and to carry my intention into it, especially in these glued surfaces, because smoke is a particulate matter. So it's all the glue contains just a little bit of smudge, if you will, in it, along with a few puppy hairs. Okay, so this is our glued side. We're going to match it up here and down here, and we set it in and sort of push it over so that the contact is really good. Press down to make sure it's sitting flat down there. Okay. Looks pretty good. Press. And yes. And we are blowing on both. Okay. Now we must let that set for a while. Okay, and the second side is set enough now too. Oh. Now the third piece is this was the first one, second one, third one I'm going to put over here, right here. It's going to slot in just the opposite direction, basically. And, yep. Okay. And this time we will put the glue on this side and then on the bottom. So, let's get some glue on here. And then this edge. Okay, and that slots in this way. Up, shoulder. Make sure that this edge gets connected. This stage in construction, sometimes you just got to push the other walls in order to make that edge meet. And further on in the construction, when we get more wall pieces on here, we'll be able to really true the form, make it right. Okay, and the third piece is set as well. Now, I'm going to do 3 more on the exact opposite side. This becomes necessary to stabilize the form as you're building it. So I'm going to put 3 more here, 1 right here, there, and there. And then I have a, let me show you. I have this lovely piece, which will help bring all of these into conformity with the base itself up here at the top. But I have to get these 3 in first in order to start using this. So I will just go ahead and put these on and on fast forward, and I'll see after that's done and explain putting the next ones on. Okay, now we're down to the 2 last final bits of the interior wall. And these are a bit more fiddly because they almost always have to have some kind of adjustment made. Puppiness. It's okay, sweetheart. Oh, yeah. Oh. So, and I really don't want to let go of the weight on the base because I need it to lay flat throughout the whole process here. So I'm just going to leave my weights in and actually do the gluing over the edge. Anyway, this piece fits in and it does need a little bit of cutting. Let me take a look at how much here. Okay, it is just a wee bit too big. Quite a bit too big. So I will have to cut this down some. Now this kind of cutting is kind of difficult and requires a very sharp little blade to accomplish. because it needs to be just a very careful shaving of the edge here. So I am going to shave off just a little bit of this edge. And the trickiest part doing something like this is the lamp, is holding the ruler firmly in place. This is like the critical part. So I try to get above it as much as I can and not put too much drag on the ruler itself as I'm cutting. Okay, and just, especially with a very sharp knife, sharp blade, just keep going at it. Several cuts, doesn't have to be one quick continuous cut here. Just needs to be consistent is all. Okay. There we go. Okay. Should be good enough. Now let's see if that fits, and that looks like it is not quite enough. So I've got to take a little bit more off that. And so I'll take it off the other side this time. A little bit more. Not as much this time. So it's going to be really even more delicate kind of cut. You have to really exert a lot of downward pressure on the ruler to hold it in place. Metal rulers are notoriously slippery. Okay, there we go. I think probably got it now. Let's see. Oh, yes. And that will fit in there. Okay. Okay. So, having trimmed it, I will then glue it. And so we're going to again put our glue down there and up both sides this time, and a little bit at the bottom down here. So both sides are going to be glued and down here. Okay. Get the glue going. And I'm just going to pull it over the edge and improvise over here. Putting this one in is just a wee bit trickier. It's got to go right in the center and stand up in place. I need to put this guy in. Get the walls just right. Okay. Then I will simply do the same with the other side after this is set. So, the entire first layer of walls have been applied. I don't know if you can see it, but I've marked this final wall and the final wall opposite it as well. The ones that I cut down to make a little bit smaller to fit. These are now slightly smaller sides. So I need to compensate for that as I build out the rest of the walls. So by marking these, I know that I'm going to have to put a full-size piece here in order to reestablish the actual size that it's supposed to be. So I'm going to set this aside and let it truly set. All that glue truly set up. And while that is setting up, I'm going to cut all the little strips of paper that I put in here. Now the inside ones are just a little bit shorter because of the thickness of the bottom than the outside ones. And I need 3 sets of 10 for the outside and 1 set of 10 for the inside. And what these do is these make the corners, the edges, very strong, very sturdy. And this is really, in a piece like this, the easiest point to damage. So making them strong reduces any chance of damage to the edges. So I'm going to put you on fast forward because it's a really dull process of making all these little paper strips. So you'll see what I'm doing. They are each a 1/2 inch wide, a 1/4 inch, and a 1/4 inch. And I draw them out on just regular copy paper for this sort of thing. And so I'm drawing out every 1/4 inch, a little mark, using a ruler to define each strip, and then I use the back side of an X-Acto knife, just very lightly, just the weight of the X-Acto knife itself, to score the fold. And I want to just score it so that it's easy to fold. You'll see as I work. Okay, so I've cut all my little bits of paper, and this is what they look like in the end. Very inexact. So now I am going to bring this guy back over. It's well set. And take out all the weight holding it down here. Okay. So first, I'll put them on the inside. And this is just, again, a very straightforward process. Laying in some glue, and then I open them a little bit, stick the pointy end in there, and then guide them into the crevice. It's just really straightforward. So I'm going to do all that on fast forward, and do the inside and then the outside, and that will be it for today. Good morning. This is day 3 working on the box. Today I hope to get the next 2 layers of sides onto this box. And let's open it up, see how it's doing here. Now at this point, the form should be quite stable, not warped. It should sit well. Okay. So, yes, sits fine, doesn't wobble at all. Top is a little wobbly, but that's okay. This upper lip does not have to be even at this point. We will even it out later, and it will morph a bit as we move along. So, remember I mentioned yesterday about this mark here on the short side. So I'm actually going to start with the second layer here on this one, so that we get a really good full-size face here. Oh yeah, okay. So we're going on the same way, and these were cut differently. Remember, these have the weak sides and the strong top and bottom. Okay. So, doing these, yes, we will want to, no, we're not going to, yeah. We're going to need to make sure that it's all nice and secure here. So we will weight this while we put the glue on. It's a 2-step process, and we're going to be heavily gluing the entire face of this and sticking it on there. And these 2 layers of wall need heavy glue. They have to adhere perfectly. So, lots of gluing today. So we're going to need more glue there too. And for this kind of gluing, it's best to use not very diluted glue. It can stand to be diluted some, but you mostly want the full strength glue here. So I'm adding a bunch of fresh glue to my diluted glue pot. It will now be less diluted with water, less runny. Okay. Okay. We want to really slop the glue on there. Nice, good, thick, milky coat. Okay, so this first piece gets glue only on its surface here, on its face. When I add the next pieces, they will of course get the same glue on the surface, plus along one or two of the sides, depending on where they're connecting with the other pieces. Okay, now we want to pull that right in there, make sure that it all lines up on top. Actually helpful if we have this inside. Press this wall here. Okay. And it is flat. Okay, so that's the first phase. Now then we take all of this out, and then I lay this piece that I've just glued, the side I've just glued, flat on the table and press. And then I have these pieces of cardboard that allow me to raise up the surface far enough so that when I lay these weights in, it doesn't damage the rest of the interior. Okay, so that's the first piece. This has to set for a few minutes. Then I go on to the next one, and I'm just going to put you on fast forward for the entire day, I think, and just put walls on. Okay. Okay, so that does it for today. We've got all the walls on. It's going to set up for overnight at least, and we'll continue on. It's very stable at this point, very flat, very, very good.